I want to tell you about what I would probably deem as the highlight or the humorous part from the investigations and the entire case and everything revolving around Cecilia Steyn. Now, I know you're probably thinking, what on earth could be any bit funny about this? But let me tell you what happened. Now, after basically a decade of Cecilia fooling everybody that her health is at risk, that she will die without an oxygen tank nearby or being on oxygen permanently, without endless streams of medication, and so on. Basically, she would die for any reason, even if it wasn't the occult attacking her. Once Cecilia was finally arrested and put into a holding cell, this became a rather interesting scenario because she now had to abide by the rules that were in this prison, and obviously they were not going to be lenient, or at least to her ways or her reasonings of what she needed, and the plans that she would try and use in order to escape. While in the holding cell, or the holding prison rather, Cecilia had countless scenarios where, yet again, she would portray that she is busy suffocating, she is busy dying, that they need to let her out to rush her to hospital, basically so she could escape from prison. But from all the evidence that I had given the investigators up until Cecilia's first arrest, one of the main highlights, or one of the main issues I stressed to them, was Cecilia's health scares, her health claims, and I detailed extensively on the different things that she would do, and the reasons she would give, and the extremes that she would go to. Needless to say, Captain Boyson and all those that were part of the investigation, including those who were in the prison maintaining control of everything, they were all exceptionally aware. They were made aware of every tiny detail. But Cecilia obviously did not know this. I mean, obviously, they're not going to tell her that they have evidence about these fake claims. And there was this one particular scenario where, yet again, Cecilia portrays that she is running out of air. She's battling to breathe, gasping, basically about to pass out and die. And from what I was told from Captain Boyson, is that the nurse that attended to her, or the person that attended to Cecilia, paid very little attention, or rather was definitely not swayed by this manipulation, because they knew. So they appeared somewhat caring towards her, obviously, to convince her that they weren't aware of her nonsense, and simply told Cecilia, try use your oxygen tank and see if that helps. To where Cecilia puts on the oxygen mask, takes in a couple of breaths, and then the person asks, are you feeling better? Are you okay now? And she says, yes, I'm feeling better. I'm actually feeling quite a lot better. Now, the humorous part is that the pipe that leads to the oxygen part of the tank was disconnected. There was no oxygen going through into the mask. They had purposely disconnected the oxygen tank just to further prove Cecilia's fake health claims and fake health scares. And yet, even while Cecilia is putting on this Oscar award show of looking like she's dying, about to pass out, with having absolutely no oxygen, to then wearing an oxygen mask where, without her knowledge, there is no oxygen actually coming through the mask from the tank. And suddenly, within a few seconds, she is miraculously, perfectly fine all over again. I thought this was one of the most brilliant scenarios, or one of the most brilliant tactics used from the investigators in order to catch Cecilia out. And the funnier part is, Cecilia Steyn still has no idea that she was caught out, and in such a simple, ridiculous manner. And I can only imagine that with any further attempts with Cecilia faking passing out with no oxygen, the same scenario would have repeated, inhaling no oxygen from an oxygen tank to being perfectly fine, simply because it was all just an act, and she was caught out without even knowing it. That was just sheer, utter brilliance. I can only imagine the look on her face if she knew that for once she was the one that was so simply and easily fooled, and how simply and easily her plan backfired in her own face.